Did you know that Marlon Brando stuffed his cheeks with cotton balls during his audition for Don Corleone? Paramount executives were so against casting him that they demanded this screen test, hoping he would fail. Instead, Brando transformed himself into one of cinema's most iconic characters right in front of their eyes, launching what would become one of the greatest films of all time. From a risky production plagued by real mafia threats to a masterpiece that redefined cinema, The Godfather's journey from troubled production to a cultural phenomenon reveals something crucial about filmmaking. Sometimes the greatest achievements come from embracing authenticity over convention. Before we dive into the brilliant decisions that created this landmark film, a real quick ask that if you're new to the channel or haven't subscribed yet, take a second to hit that subscribe button now. It's one small click for you, but a huge deal for us. Now, let's explore what went right with The Godfather. Reason number 1. Casting against the odds. In 1972, Marlon Brando was considered box office poison. Al Pacino was an unknown stage actor deemed too short and too ethnic for Hollywood. The studio wanted Ernest Borgnine or Carlo Ponti for Don Corleone and Robert Redford or Ryan O'Neal for Michael. But director Francis Ford Coppola fought for his vision with the same tenacity as the family he was portraying on screen. The result? A perfect ensemble that felt more like a real family than actors on a set. Brando's Don Corleone became so iconic that real mafia members started imitating his mannerisms. Pacino's subtle transformation from innocent war hero to ruthless Don created one of cinema's most compelling character arcs. James Caan brought a dangerous energy to Sonny that made his violent outbursts feel terrifyingly real. Even the smaller roles, from John Cazale's vulnerable Fredo to Richard Castellano's jovial but lethal Clemenza, were cast with an eye for authenticity over star power. This commitment to perfect casting, even in the face of studio pressure, didn't just make for great performances, it created a world that felt lived in and real, where every character, no matter how small their role, felt like they had their own story and history. Reason number 2. Cultural authenticity. Long before conversations about cultural authenticity in filmmaking became mainstream, The Godfather set a new standard for portraying Italian-American life on screen. Rather than relying on stereotypes, Coppola immersed viewers in the intimate details of the culture, from the traditional Sicilian wedding celebrations to the family dynamics at the dinner table. Every detail mattered, from the way characters spoke to each other in Italian to the food preparation scenes to the specific customs and traditions. Coppola even insisted on casting actual Italian-American actors in many roles, bringing an authenticity that previous Hollywood gangster films had lacked. The result wasn't a crime film, it was a deep dive into a specific time, place, and culture that felt real because it was real. Reason number 3. Masterful visual storytelling. The Godfather's visual style didn't just look beautiful, it told the story. Working with cinematographer Gordon Willis, Coppola created a dark, shadowy world that perfectly captured the moral complexity of the Corleone family. The high-contrast lighting and the complex use of shadows were more than artistic choices, they were excellent storytelling tools. Take the iconic opening scene. As Bonasera, the Undertaker, pleads his case to Don Corleone. We can barely see the Don's face. He's shrouded in shadow, speaking softly but radiating a menacing power. When Michael later takes over as the Don, we see him increasingly shot in similar shadows, visually showcasing how he is subsumed by his father's world as he becomes his successor. The film's use of color was equally deliberate. The warm, golden hues of the family scenes contrasted sharply with the cold, harsh lighting of the outside world. Even the famous "Leave the gun, take the cannoli" scene mixed the warmth of family tradition with the brutality of mob violence in a single frame. Reason number 4. A script that respects its source. While many book-to-film adaptations struggle to capture their source material's magic, The Godfather succeeded by staying true to Mario Puzo's novel, while knowing exactly what to change for the screen. Coppola and Puzo worked together on the screenplay, carefully deciding what to keep and what to cut. The film streamlined the novel's numerous subplots without losing its true essence. Gone were some of the book's more sensational elements, allowing the core story of family, power, and corruption to take center stage. The famous line, "I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse," came straight from the novel, but the film gave it new life through Brando's unforgettable delivery. Reason number 5. revolutionary editing. The editing of The Godfather created powerful thematic connections that elevated the storytelling to whole new heights. Nowhere is this more evident than in the famous baptism sequence, where the christening of Michael's godson is intercut with systematic execution of his rivals while he denounces Satan. Editor William Reynolds and Coppola created a masterclass in what we call parallel editing. As Michael renounces Satan and accepts Christ as his son's spiritual guardian, his men carry out brutal murders across the city. The juxtaposition is both ironic and deeply meaningful, showing Michael's final transformation into the dual existence of the thing he once despised. But it wasn't just the big moments. Throughout the film, subtle editing choices help build tension and reveal character. Notice how we often linger on faces just a moment longer than is comfortable or necessary, creating that underlying sense of menace and tension. Or how family scenes are edited with a warmth and flow that contrast really sharply with the abrupt cuts of violent sequences. Reason number 6, the power of sound. If there's one piece of music that instantly transports you to the world of The Godfather, it's Nino Rota's haunting theme. But the film's audio mastery goes far beyond its iconic score. The sound design creates a rich tapestry that brings 1940s New York and Sicily to life. Listen to how the sound shifts during Michael's first murder scene in the restaurant. The screeching of the elevated train builds tension until it becomes almost unbearable, then suddenly drops away to total silence, right before the violence erupts. This wasn't some artistic flourish. It puts us inside Michael's head at this crucial turning point for his character. The film also knew when to use silence. During the attempted assassination of Don Vito, we hear no music, just the rustle of his coat as he falls and the scattered sound of the oranges hitting the ground. These choices weren't random, and they were carefully orchestrated to maximize emotional impact. Reason number 7, perfect pacing and structure. At nearly 3 hours long, The Godfather could have easily felt bloated or dragged in places. Instead, it moves with the grace and inevitability of a Greek tragedy. Every scene serves a purpose. Every moment builds towards Michael's transformation from war hero to mafia don. The film takes its time when it needs to, letting tensions simmer in quiet family moments, then exploding into violence with a shocking suddenness. Watch how Sonny's death scene is constructed. The long, quiet drive to the toll booth, followed by an eruption of violence that's over almost before we can process anything. This masterful control of pace does more than keep the audience engaged. It mirrors the very nature of mob life, where long periods of normal family existence are punctuated by moments of extreme violence. Reason number 8, balancing intimacy with scale. The Godfather succeeds because it's simultaneously an intimate family drama and an epic crime saga. While other films might have gotten lost trying to balance elements this disparate, Coppola understood that the personal and the political were inseparable in the world of the Corleones. Look at how the film handles Michael's time in Sicily. These scenes could have felt like a detour from the main story, but instead they deepen our understanding of both the Corleone family's roots and Michael's character. His romance with Apollonia isn't some subplot, it's a glimpse of the life he could have had if he'd stayed true to his initial rejection of the family business. Every grand moment in the film is grounded in personal stakes. The war between the 5 families matters because we understand how it affects the Corleone family. Even the famous horsehead scene works because it's not just intimidation, it's also a godfather helping his godson and keeping his word to his family. Reason number 9, the legacy of excellence. The Godfather didn't just succeed, it revolutionized what was possible in American cinema. It proved that a film could be both commercially successful and artistically groundbreaking, paving the way for a new era of sophisticated filmmaking. Its influence can be seen everywhere, from Goodfellas to The Sopranos, from Breaking Bad to Succession. The film's exploration of power, family, and moral corruption created a template for telling complex stories about complicated people. It showed that audiences were ready for morally ambiguous protagonists and nuanced explorations of family dynamics. But perhaps most importantly, The Godfather proved that sticking to your artistic vision could pay off. Every decision that made the film great, from casting Brando against studio wishes to insisting on authentic Italian-American representation, came from refusing to compromise on quality. The future of the franchise. While The Godfather 2 would go on to equal or even surpass the originals in many critics' eyes, the first film stands alone as a perfect piece of cinema. Its success wasn't about clever marketing or special effects or some big name. It was about getting the fundamentals right: story, character, performance, and visual storytelling. Today, when blockbusters often prioritize spectacle over substance, The Godfather reminds us that true cinematic greatness comes from a commitment to authenticity, attention to detail, and respect for the audience's intelligence. In an era of franchise fatigue, it's worth remembering that this film succeeded not by following formulas, but by breaking them. But that's just our opinion. What do you think? And what's your favorite scene from The Godfather? Which part of the film do you think was most crucial to its success? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of these cinematic deep dives. This video was made by movie fans, for movie fans.